Well, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year's Eve. How is everybody doing tonight? How you guys doing? I am doing well. Hope everyone is good. Honey S 2015 and Nobot 11 already representing the chat. Very nice. Thank you too for so much for being here. As well as, Sabrosa making an appearance as well. Welcome. Well, as you can see, we're doing something a little bit different tonight. I'm a little bit larger. The lighting's a little bit funky, I know, right now. I apologize, guys, because I set this up a little bit differently for today. Because, like I said, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, aside from our normal gameplay for tonight. So, what do we have in store for you? Well, today, because it is New Year's Eve, it's the last day of 2021, I wanted to do something a little bit different with regard to sort of a year in review for the games that I played in 2021. Mostly new releases, a couple old games that I decided to pick up as well. So I'm going to be going through and doing a little bit of a, we'll say, tier list tonight of my rankings of them. Now, some of these, I'd say just a little bit under half I did stream this year. And then some earlier in the year, of course, I did not stream. So I'll give sort of my thoughts on that, those particular games as well. And sort of my quick review for some of those. Obviously, I won't give a full-fledged review for most games because you've either already A, heard them, or B, we'll be here all night. It'll be 2023 by the time I get through. So that's why we're going to just sort of roll through it here. I don't know how long it's going to take. It could be about 40 minutes, an hour, somewhere around there. Probably won't go 3 hours, but we'll see how long it takes. So, of course, I'll do my regular shilling, right? So we are tweeting. We are streaming live on Twitch, twitch.tv/HMRising. And you can also watch the replays on Twitch, but also on YouTube. Username, channel name, HMRising as well, where you can watch the replays for these videos about 24 hours after the streams have aired live on Twitch for all your replay needs and such. So, anything else I can say? Again, we're not going to be doing any gameplay tonight. We're just going to be kind of going through the reviews of some of the games I played, sort of my recommendations, and go forward from there. Kind of a very informal tier list, but we'll get past it. So again, I just want to thank you all for being here on this New Year's Eve. Thank you so much for showing up, and we will get started in just a moment. Before I do a little celebratory, we got the full handle tonight. And yes, it was full about 30 minutes ago, and I've moved through it quite quickly. So, in celebration, I'm just doing it off screen here, guys. Making a mess as usual. It's a little early, but no party is best until it's started early. So again, here's to you all there and from me and Uncle Tito. I hope 2021 was okay for you guys. Hope 2022 will be better. Here's to me, here's to you, and thanks for all the support this year on Twitch and elsewhere. Love you guys. Thank you so much. It's like drinking antiseptic. Whew. All right. So, as we can obviously see in my background here, got a little free tier maker going here. I've organized the games pretty much roughly by the order that I played them in. Now, you'll notice, of course, I started with an S, A, B, C, D tier. And the numbers appropriate to the scores I generally give them out of 5. So S tier is obviously going to be awesome or amazing. A is going to be pretty good. B's okay. C is kind of like, not very good. Averages. It's kind of in that B-C range is average. And then D is going to be basically garbage or what I don't like. I have 2 additional categories, DLC and not eligible. The S through D are pretty self-explanatory. DLC is going to be for the DLC picks. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because DLC is never going to probably be very rarely, but will very rarely match the full price, or excuse me, the quality that a full price game would usually meet. So I don't really feel it fair to compare them with full-fledged games. So we'll have a separate category for them, and I'll try to organize them from better left to worse right. And then not eligible, this is what I talked about a little bit earlier, and that is going to be games that were not released in 2021 that I picked up and played this year. So anything that's goes in the S through D had to have been released during 2021. So without further ado, I want to again thank you guys so much for being here. Happy New Year's Eve, and let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with my first tier. This is Mass for the Dead Overlord. This is a gacha game. It was actually released last year, 2020, in April, but it continued for about a year. So technically, we'll just toss this in immediately into not eligible because it was basically a running game up to this point. It is the services ended, I think, in late March, if I recall, or maybe it was April. And if you are a fan of the for the Overlord light novel or anime series, it was fun for the time, but it was, of course, a huge money sink. Had some predatory practices, as most gacha games do, but I did enjoy my time with it. Obviously, very much enjoying the series. So if I had to toss it in here, I would have put it at about the BC range, but again, not really eligible because it was released before and continued on into 2021. Next up, we have Cyberpunk. Similarly, I'm going to go ahead and put this in not eligible because it was released in December of last year. However, I did end up playing it for about a month and a half, roughly. And this game, I mean, what can be said about this game that has not already been said? It was largely received very poorly because the developers promised the moon and did not deliver on such promises. I kind of got past that and didn't really care too much for the whole drama surrounding it. I thought the game was okay. Not great by any means, but I mean, for the experience that I had for it, it was fine. Very samey, a lot of bugs. I rarely actually had very few hard crashes. Most of the issues that I had with the game from a technical level were just oddities like characters or NPCs in T-poses, right? And you'd see the same model NPC walking down the sidewalk, and you see the same other model walking, and they sort of like cross paths, and it's like very great, very immersion breaking. So had I ranked this is probably going to be about the same range, maybe in the B category, because I did enjoy it for the time that I had, but enjoy is a little bit of a it might be selling it a bit too much because, like I said, it was not amazing, but for the time that I had it, it was okay. So one more for not eligible, and of course that's Bloodborne. That's a much older game than the rest of the two, and I started playing this about the same time I did Cyberpunk. It was actually one of the few times I've kind of simul-played games at the same time. It was all right. I think that, like a lot of the Dark Souls games, the difficulty is kind of silly. I think that it, in many ways, is kind of up its own ass about, oh, this is a hard game or whatever. Bloodborne had definitely some moments that were absolutely infuriating, but to be honest with you guys, once you got to a certain part of the game, it became reasonably easy. So I don't really know much else to say about it. I really enjoyed the different weapons, but I don't think it was a greatly designed game anyway. I know that's heresy because Bloodborne gets a lot of praise for the game itself, but I just didn't really care for it that much. For me, this is probably solidly in C if I were to rank it for this year, or for last year, I guess you could say. So, okay, now we're actually going to start getting into the 2021 releases, and I'll take just a quick pause here. So, I'm thinking about it now as I'm looking through my list here with like the Smash DLC characters. I mean, those are going to get tossed into DLC anyway, but we'll see what happens. So, What did you say woe to, Honey S 2015? A little bit different of a setup here, so I'm just getting this all situated. Okay. Let me check here. Cool. Okay. And again, I apologize. The lighting is a little off. That will probably be fixed in future streams when I do these not as up close and personal. So, okay. So first up, actually, it's funny. I had these on the side. My copy of Cyberpunk with like the what do they call these again? The steel books, and then Bloodborne. So put those on the side. We already sort of talked about those. So next up, we have Gal Gun Returns, Nintendo Switch. Oh, I don't like the glare on that, guys. I apologize, but we'll do what we can here. Gal Gun Returns on the Nintendo Switch. What can I say about this one? It's kind of a pervy game. It's sort of basically a dating scene game. In addition to what's basically could be charitably called a rail shooter. It's rated M, language, sexual themes, and that's really about it. You basically touch girls in different places with their clothes are on, in most cases, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. I'm glad I didn't stream it. Let's be honest about that. There's really not much else I can say about it. It had some cute moments. It really only gave me probably about, I think, 8 hours maybe of content or enjoyment rather out of it. Pretty forgettable, all things considered. That said, the time I did have with it, it was okay. It had some fun. It was sort of fun in the beginning, playing a rail shooter, which like make the girls happy and stuff and ecstatic. But other than that, beyond 5-6 hours, that was it. So for me, again, for the first 3 or 4 hours, it was okay and enjoyable, but I'm going to toss this in C tier, absolutely for sure. So that's where we'll put that for now. Okay, next up, Bravely Default 2 on the Nintendo Switch as well. You guys might start noticing a pattern here, but Bravely Default 2 on the Nintendo Switch. This game gave me quite a bit of playtime out of. I think I probably have close to about 100 hours, maybe a little bit less in it. If you played the previous Bravely Default games, it obviously plays very, very similarly. I would argue it's a little bit easier than the previous titles. And I'd also say the story is overall a little bit weaker than the previous titles. But the characters actually liked a little bit more, although they were kind of, just generally speaking, fairly basic. But there's not necessarily anything wrong with kind of having bog standards as long as it's handled appropriately. So I enjoyed my time with it. A lot of the classes were cool. The biggest complaint I sort of have about this was that two complaints. There were very obvious story cues. The story was very predictable. It's like, oh, this person just showed up and they're kind of being rude to the party. I hope they're not the main bad guy for this chapter. And of course, they do end up being the main bad guy for the chapter. That's the first part. And the second part is that there are jobs in this, which are basically like classes from, Final Fantasy type classes that when you get them towards the end of the game, they just break the game entirely. As I recall, it's Brave Bearer, which I think is the last job or asterisk you can get. It has a ability that immediately or insta kills all trash mobs in a combat if they're lower level than you. So you can see how ridiculous this gets and how easy farming actually becomes. So with that said, I still overall enjoyed it. It was fun. It did have very good music. The visuals, I kind of like the chibi style, although of course they are they lack a lot of effort. But it was. I enjoyed my time with it. But again, it was kind of easy overall and didn't really do anything extra that you would expect from the Bravely Default series. So for me, this is clearly solidly in B tier, and kind of trapped there forever. So there's Bravely Default 2. Okay. Now, we got a host of things to get through to here. So, Next up, we have the Pyra and Mithra DLC character editions in Smash Bros. They have become my new mains, and superseding both, or actually I had a couple mains. I had Simon was my main, as well as I also played Ridley, King K. Rool, and who's the other one? Someone else is in there. Those are the only ones I can think of at the moment. But since Xenoblade 2 is probably in my top 20, and Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, is in my top 10, possibly top 5, you can obviously see I'm a little bit biased towards these waifus, Pyra more so. And I enjoy how they play. I really like the slower characters as I got older in Smash. So I'm going to put them, of course, in the DLC category, but they're probably going to remain pretty high there as well. So, okay. Next up, we have The Outer Worlds Murder on Eridanos, I think it was called. I don't really know what to say. The Outer Worlds was an okay base game, leaning towards good, but I think it does wear out its welcome towards the end. This DLC, which I think was the second of 2, true to its name, Murder on Eridanos, there's basically a murder that occurs for a celebrity-type woman, and your character is tasked with figuring out who done it in a very Clue-esque style way, who did it in what room with what weapon, right? Colonel Mustard with the candlestick, that sort of crap. I think it had to have been the last one, right? I think it was better than the original, the first DLC. But really, I was kind of done with the Outer Worlds at that point. I mean, the game had already been out for 2 years. And like I said, it didn't have a whole lot of replay value for me. So we'll put that in DLC, kind of earmark it to be towards the bottom, but that's where we go with that one. Next up, we have Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods, Part 2. This was actually fairly decent. Toned down in difficulty, the insane brutality of the first DLC, The Ancient Gods Part 1. What a surprise. And that's really all I can say. Just more Doom Eternal, just in DLC format. Introduces a couple new enemy types that are just unbelievably annoying, that completely kill the pacing of the game, because you have to kill them in very specific ways. So that really hurts it. But overall, I did sort of enjoy my experience with it. Pretty middling, all things considered. So we'll put that here above Eridanos, but below Pyra and Mithra. Okay, next up, Borderlands 3 Director's Cut. Now, I absolutely hate Borderlands 3. I think that game is one of the worst games I've ever played. Technically, it's okay. Obviously, it's a playable game, but I hate the story. I don't like really any of the characters. I think Borderlands has really worn out its welcome, and I will not be purchasing the Tiny Tina game this coming year. So I'll just put that out there. I know that's probably a little bit controversial for some of you out there who I do know like Borderlands for a fact, but that's all I can say. And all the Director's Cut DLC did was just add, I think, a new raid boss and some other garbage. Actually, let me look that up real quick. I think it was, because it was basically just 3 new achievements for it. And of course, you get your standard like gameplay balances, but I'm going to check that very quickly here. Let's see here. Forgot how many DLCs there were for this. Director's Cut. So defeated Hemovorus the Invincible. That's the raid boss. Destroyed 50 mysterious iridium piles. I don't remember what that is. Solved all murder mysteries for Ava's podcast. I think that was some sort of like side mission that was just kind of there. Don't really remember. Don't really care. So the fact that it's tied in with Borderlands 3, that is bottom tier of the DLC for sure. Fuck that game. Okay. We'll do one more, and then we'll do another celebratory, what's it called? A shot, yes, but I mean it's like a pour, right? I forgot what it's called. Okay, next up is Nier Replicant version 1.224744871391. or ellipses. Okay, and obviously this is, of course, the steel bookcase. I purchased this on Square Enix's official website. The White Snow Edition, I believe, is what it was called. Spent the extra $100 or so for all the extra goodies. This is a remaster or definitive edition, whatever you want to call it, of the original Nier, or Nier Replicant in Japan. Or wait, Nier Replicant was in what it was called in Japan, and then a Nier Gestalt, is that right? Nier Gestalt was the Western version, was that correct? Let me check that up. It's so much easier having a PC right in front of you to look up and cross-reference, fact check. Yeah, so in Japan it was Nier Replicant, and in the West it was called Nier Gestalt, or just Nier. And move this over here. Whoops, sorry about that. There we go. And I would say that for this game, I'm going to admit my biases, right? I love Nier. I love the series in general. For this game, which I felt was a little bit, the original game, specifically, the original game had a lot of problems. It was still playable, still enjoyable, but it definitely is a relic from its time, 2010-ish, I think it was. Let me look that up again. I think it was 2010. Yes, it was 2010. That's right. For 2010, I mean, it has showed its age, but I appreciate that Yoko Taro did do the remake for this game. And there were some quality of life improvements, a couple new story elements as well, like the whole Little Mermaid scene, or sequence rather. So it was good. It was very good. Again, I know I'm a little biased, of course. It is still a remaster, so it already has existing content to work with. But for me, I'm going to go ahead, of course, and put this in A tier, making a push for S tier, we'll say. But the fact, again, that the source content is already sort of there, although Yoko Taro did respect it, so we'll put that there solidly in A. So, cool. All right. Let's do another libation was the word I was looking for. I was going to say libel, and then I'm like, wait a second, no. So, we'll do another libation here. How the hell are you guys doing tonight, by the way? How's chat doing? It's fireworks where I'm at, even though still couple hours before midnight. Okay. We're making actually like a decent clip here. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be like 3 hours normally. We'll probably get this done in the next 30, 40 minutes, I would guess. Although actually, as we get towards the tail end there, spoiler alert, I'll have more to say, but we'll get past it. So, next up is Star Wars Republic Commando. I played this on the PlayStation 4. Of course, this is another remaster or re-release of a older game, much older game. And, I'll tell you what, the original game, which I played on the Xbox, I loved. I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed the characters. All the clone troopers have their own little personalities, and they kind of follow certain archetypes, but I really did like the game a whole lot. However, that was nostalgia. Because when I played this remake, I didn't realize how janky it is, and has several sequences which are just not fun. They feel very grindy or farmy, where your character's basically shooting Genosians again and again, or battle droids and all this other shit. The story is still fairly decent, obviously with Sev, and spoiler alerts, but it's such an old game at this point. With what happens to Sev is what's interesting the most of the game. But I'm not a Star Wars fan, I might add, by the way. I do not like Star Wars, but I did enjoy this for the time back then. But again, those might be rose-tinted glasses. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and put this also in C. Probably just with Galgun Returns, it's probably interchangeable for the most part. But I'll at least say Galgun Returns at least had some newish content, where this was just basically a remake, so just slightly underneath Galgun Returns. Yes, clone troopers are not as interesting as Girls in Panties. Anime Girls in Panties, what a surprise. Okay, cool. So let me get another swig here. Okay. Anybody disagree or agree with any of these assessments thus far, if you've played any of these? And again, I'm just ranking S through D for games that were released in 2021, including remakes, not DLC. So, again, that's why the Cyberpunk and Bloodborne obviously are not included in there. So, okay, what do we got next? We have Biomutant. Biomutant on Xbox One. This is an interesting game. I had been following this game for probably about 3 or 4 years when it was initially announced at one of the E3s several years ago, and then it was perpetually delayed over the course of a couple years. And then, as I recall, late last year, or perhaps it was early this year, the developer, I think it was 101, right? It's actually on here. Yeah, 101 or 101. They finally announced, oh, hey, this game's coming out finally. And, I enjoyed my time with this game as well, too. This is a open world game where you create your own little character, little toon, who's a mutant. They kind of have this weird humanoid animal thing going on. There's certain classes you can build your character to have, so they can be a melee with a two-handed sword, or dual wield single-handers. You can also use melee, or you can also use ranged weapons, guns, and such like that. And actually, this was a good game, I think, all things considered. I will say, and someone was giving me shit for this, and I don't remember which stream it was, but I'm honestly a little bit more partial to AA titles, because the thing with AA titles is that they generally, while they have more resources than your indie studios do, they don't necessarily have the same bread and butter crap that you do get from a lot of the AAA titles. So I do feel, and I say this sort of charitably, but there is a little bit more of innovation I've noticed in the AA titles, generally speaking, because they have that leverage to do so, right? They're not beholden to shareholders as much as AAAs are, and they do have a desire to maintain the sort of gameplay or story tropes and all that stuff that you would get from the AAs, but also not crazy, weird, experimental shit that you would see in indie games, which can, for me, be a big turnoff. So, other than that, I mean, I really liked Biomutant, to be honest with you. Again, I'm going to admit that I'm a little bit biased because of the fact that it's good, or because of the AA developer, and I enjoyed my time with it. It was a little repetitive for sure, and it was also very, very easy. I don't know if patches since I played it, which I think I played it in like late May, early June, is about the time it came out. I don't know if patches have rebalanced it or anything, but I mean, it was a good game. I would actually recommend this if you're interested in like sort of an open world game that's a little bit different from your bog standard open world WRPGs. So with that said, another one in the pile. That's going in A tier for me. Slightly behind Nier, just because like I said, I'm biased towards Nier as well, and I love the Nier story. So, okay, now here's a funny one. Five Nights at Freddy's. What can I say about this game? I've known about this for years. Most people have. I've always sort of ignored it. I haven't really cared about it. It just never really seemed like it was something I was interested. I was bored one day. I'm like, hey, people talk about it. It has a reputation. I think it was in the news earlier this year, perhaps because the main developer behind it made some political comments or whatever. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. So I just decided on a whim one day to pick it up, try it out, and it was fine. I mean, it's an indie title, or at least it was back then, and there's really not much else to say about it. It gave me probably about 3 or 4 hours worth of kind of a fun time. But I don't think I'll ever probably play it again. I mean, it's a very one-trick pony in my opinion. And the thing is, too, I said this at the time back then, it is basically a resource management game in disguise, if you really think about it. Because you have the battery for the door, or the electricity limit for all the different gadgets and what have you. And basically you have to use them you have to optimize using them to avoid getting spooked by any of the animatronics. And it has, that window dressing of being a horror game, but at the end of the day, it really is just a resource management game. So would I rank this? It'd probably be actually I would say probably C tier, either top or middle. But because it's so old, we're not going to be ranking it because it's not a 2021 game. So we'll toss it in here for not eligible. And I would actually, you know what? This is probably a little controversial, but I would actually rank it slightly higher than Bloodborne because at least Five Nights at Freddy's didn't waste my time. I felt Bloodborne really wasted my time, especially with those stupid chalice dungeons. I know to each their own, but still, I thought the challenge, I should have mentioned this earlier, but the chalice dungeons were absolute wastes of time for me. So, okay. We're going to do one more, and then we'll do another libation here. Kazuya. The Kazuya DLC for Smash Bros. Ultimate. This was funny because if you guys know Smash Bros., there's always a ton of speculation about the DLC characters, the characters in general, the roster in general. And at the time, there were only 2 known slots left in the DLC or DLC 2 package. And nobody really knew who it was. There was obviously rampant speculation about who it would be. Oh, it's going to be Master Chief. Oh, it's going to be, who is another popular one? The Ninja Gaiden main dude, Ryu. It's going to be Ryu. Well, it turns out it was Kazuya from Tekken. And the thing is this. The Smash Bros. Fandom seemed to be sort of divided because you have older people like me who played the original 64 game, who probably shouldn't be playing the games at this point, but we'll get past it for now, who know who Kazuya is because we also played Tekken, sometimes in the arcades back then, and some of the newer players don't really play Tekken as much. Fighting games, I think, the classic style fighting games, I think, don't really have a lot of an appeal, or at least as much as they used to. So I think the reception was kind of split on him. Some kind of liked it. And he's from a fighting game, Tekken, right? So, and he has a cool story, I might add, or a cool storyline. So I've played him, obviously. If you haven't played a fighting game and you're only used to playing how Smash plays, he's going to be very difficult in general to play because similar to both Ken and Ryu and also Terry before him, he's going to play like more of your traditional fighting game character. But he was fine. I mean, he definitely, I think, deserved a spot in some respects. I hate using the term deserved because it's like almost any character you could say deserves it to some degree. But given the fact he's from Tekken, a long-running fighting game, I'm cool with it. So I don't really know. I mean, I'll toss him. Definitely not going to beat Pyra and Mithra because I'm kind of a weeb in that respect. But, I'll put him probably in there. That's fine. That's probably pretty fair. He's probably interchangeable with the Ancient Gods too, but we'll keep that there for now. So, again, we'll take a pause. How are we doing on time? We're probably at about an hour, right? Maybe a little less. 40 minutes. Okay, cool. So, Brosa, how you doing, man? Honey S 2015, how you guys doing? I know I see some of you lurking in chat. Are you going to roast me or what's going on? What are you guys doing for New Year's Eve? You're so quiet today. I feel like this is meant to be a little bit more interactive and you guys are like even more quiet than usual. Which is cool, but still. So, hanging with my boyfriend, chilling. Well, that's nice, Honey S 2015. Hopefully you and the boyfriend are doing well. Happy New Year's Eve to you guys. right. I should have mentioned this earlier when I was talking about Nier Replicant version 1.22. It is basically the first game that I legitimately streamed. So that I'm also a little biased. Streamed on Twitch, that is. So I'm a little biased towards it in that respect. So my husbando, if you will. Okay, about to start Divinity. No problem, Sabrosa. I'm happy you're here. All right. Okay. All right. Scarlet Nexus, Xbox One. Actually, it's funny how the chroma key is chroming out the green on the case itself. This is a game I streamed. Some of you have been here since then. This is a Bandai Namco JRPG or JRPG Lite, I guess you could possibly call it. This was a not bad game. Not bad. The story itself, I think, was overdrawn. I think I probably got close to about 80, 90 hours out of it total. It is a little bit repetitive, as a lot of JRPGs are. But I think the combat was actually pretty fun. There's a sort of innate, unique combo system into it between your main character and the partner or parties that you choose, or the party members rather, that you choose. And it was a good game. I don't really know what else to say. The funny thing is that this is the type of game, I said it back during those streams, I'll say it again. Bandai Namco, for JRPGs in general, makes solid JRPGs. Nothing atrociously bad, but never a masterpiece, right? So a game like this, you know, if somebody asked me 5-10 years from now, hey, what'd you think of Scarlet Nexus? I'd be like, how the hell do you know that at the game? But secondly, I would ask them, or I would answer them and say, you know, it's fine. It was good. But is it going to be an earth-shattering game or do something new and unique or something really, really innovative? No, not even close. Not even close. But my time, as you guys have gotten a sense for this far, my time with it was fun. I enjoyed it. Bandai Namco, they just make solid 6, 7, 8, 10 JRPGs. Never a 1, but never a 10. So kind of a curse in some respects. But Scarlet Nexus overall was not bad. Anything else I can say about it? It does the whole like post-apocalyptic thing and teenagers to save the world type shtick that we've seen 1,000,001 times. So that was a little annoying, but other than that, it's fine. Whatever. Thanks, Bandai Namco. We're tossing that in B for sure. Was it better than Bravely Default 2? It's a good question. It's very equal to Bravely Default 2 in my opinion. But if I had to choose, and I have to choose, so Scarlet Nexus at least had waifus to some degree. Bravely Default really didn't, so that also hurts Bravely Default 2, but Bravely Default 2 also didn't have some annoying segments. So I'm just going to have Bravely Default just barely eke out a win over Scarlet Nexus. So there we go. Okay. All right. Greedfall, the Vespe conspiracy. I can't remember. Greedfall, the vanilla, the base game, I actually enjoyed a lot. Another AA title. You know how I'm biased. I already admit it. Not amazing, but fairly good overall. The Vespe conspiracy, Vesp, I can't remember, was basically a glorified side quest. So there's really not much else to say. It gave me, I think, 2, perhaps 3 hours of content. And was a story that didn't really need to be told. What was really odd about this too was that this game came out, I think it was, sorry guys, I think it was, Was it 2019? I think it was 2019. Yeah, it was September 10th, 2019. And this came out, I think, almost 2 years later. And it's the only DLC, not including any sort of cosmetics or whatever. Yeah, almost 2 years later. So it felt very odd that almost suddenly there was this, again, almost 2 years later. Sorry, guys. Almost 2 years later, a DLC, and again, charitably, what you could call a DLC, that was released. But it kind of was nice to revisit Greedfall. Just a very weird choice. So because of the fact of its shortness and its sort of its oddity, but the fact that it was an okay side quest, again, it's not going to be anything lower than Borderlands, but I'm probably going to rank it, again, probably interchangeable with Murder on Eridanos, even though Murder was much longer comparatively. But the fact that I like Greedfall better than the Outer Worlds, will just edge it out just a little bit. So, okay, cool. All right. Let's get finishing to this. Doing a pretty good clip, I think, here. I'm actually a little bit above what I think here. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, Skyward Sword. The Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword HD on the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, you guys, I streamed this game. Skyward Sword, the original back on the Nintendo Wii, I think was a good game for its time. I said as much. It was nice to sort of have the Zelda timeline, the chronological timeline has always been a shit show. And the funny thing about it, too, is like it seems that in some respects, Nintendo adopted the fan theories about it and was just like, okay, fine, whatever. That's what's canon now. So it was nice to sort of actually have like the original Legend of Zelda, because it takes first in the canon, I believe, or the very first game. But, it really doesn't do anything particularly amazing compared to some other games. I'm biased, of course. I fucking love Majora's Mask. It's in my top 10 for sure, possibly top 5 as well. Majora's Mask at least introduced something new. Ocarina of Time, as overrated as I think it is, was a very good game for its time too. Twilight Princess, but at least it tried doing something different with the Edge storyline, the dark storyline, as it were, and there were some really fucking cool dungeons in there. Most notably, the Yeti's Mansion, right? So, at least it tried. Skyward Sword doesn't really do anything particularly interesting, in my opinion. It's a good game. It hits on all the Zelda tropes that you've known and come to love, but something new or something interesting, I think you might want to look elsewhere for this. In terms of a remaster, honestly, if I go back and look at it, let me actually see here. Let's take a look here. Let's see here. Skyward Sword HD changes. Let's see if there's anything interesting about that. You might hear my mechanical keyboard. I apologize. I think there were some quality of life changes. But other than that, there really wasn't anything interesting about it. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Not going to show you because it doesn't really matter. But so I think overall a solid game. Nintendo usually produces pretty good titles for its first party franchises, but nothing that blew me out of the water. It was really just sort of a, hey, remember Skyward Sword? And the truth is that most people don't, especially Zelda fans, because a lot of Zelda fans have not played this game. They're Zelda fans though, right? We'll get past the sardonic commentary for now. But it was sort of nice to revisit it. And the dungeons are okay. Items are okay. Whatever. Good Zelda game. What else is new? This is going solidly in B. And I'm actually going to put it below Scarlet Nexus just because at least it wasn't a total rehash. At Scarlet Nexus, that is. So, okay. Let me grab a little bit of hydration here. How we doing tonight, guys and gals? How we doing? think we just got about a dozen left, so we're almost finished here. Almost finished. Happy New Year. Okay. Nier Reincarnation. This is a mobile gacha game of the Nier franchise. And I still am playing this game to this day. I am in general not a fan of gacha games or mobile games for that matter. I think you guys know what's coming next. However, because I am a Nier fanboy, that compensates a little. Compared to Mass for the Dead Overlord, Nier Reincarnation is much more F2P friendly than Mass for the Dead. And you could get by basically entirely by playing free to play. You don't have to spend really a penny in it, and you'll be generally okay. You can do most quests, not all, but it is still, of course, going to try to get you to spend money. Again, you don't pay anything up front. It's a free download. So, technically, and I really hate to say that, but technically $60 of, we'll say, whatever of the in-game currency to roll on characters, I think that's fair and kind of expected because, again, it's a free to download, free to play. But I will say it's ironic too because it's published or at least maintained by SquareSoft and I think Applebot or whatever. It's actually, like I said, very free to play friendly. If you like Nier and Nier Replicant, Nier Automata, this is going to be kind of your jam, although not entirely. It really basically established its own storyline separate from all of that. But it also seems a little directionless because there's too many open-ended questions. Actually, one of our emotes in this channel, the We Just Don't Know, is based on Nier Reincarnation. A little spoiler there for you guys. But, I still play it basically every day I basically do it while multitask. I never play it, like it never has my full attention. I'm always multitasking, doing something else. But I play it for anywhere between 40 minutes and up to 2 hours. But again, I'm not devoting my time to it. So it's fine, I guess. The story's a little bit interesting, of course, because it's Nier. What do you expect? But it is a gacha game, which does hurt it. But again, I'm a little biased towards the Nier stuff. So I am actually going to bump this up. And you know what? I got to be honest. The fact that it is a free to play and it's not super predatory like a lot of the other mobile gacha games, I'm going to give a little bit of actually respect to it, probably undeserved in that manner. So I'm actually going to put this in B tier, but I'm actually going to put it in bottom of B tier. It's really straddling the line there, but that's where I'm going to put it. So, yeah. Okay, next up, Konosuba, Fantastic Days. Now, this is another mobile gacha game. I probably should not have included it on this list because I've probably played it for less than 2 hours total. I downloaded it when the game was released, which was, and I wrote it down, I think it was like in August sometime. Yeah, the 19th of August, it looks like. I've played it for probably about less than 2 hours, as I just said. Konosuba, I do like as an anime. It's not really worth a rewatch in my opinion because basically sex joke after sex joke, sexual innuendo joke. I do love Aqua a lot though. Actually, I'll even show you guys. I have the Aqua Figma. Ooh. My little display thing here. I played it for probably about an hour and a half on launch day. And then I played it for about 30 minutes a couple weeks later when there was the special Aqua bikini version or some shit, which I took a screen cap of, I might add. But other than that, even though I do like Konosuba, it just didn't really grab my attention. Other than that, To be fair, I probably have not given it enough attention. 2 hours, less than 2 hours is not really enough to really gauge a game. So I will concede that this is probably an unfair rating, but I have to rate it the way I do. So this is actually going into D tier for me. I mean, you really only have a first chance to make a good first impression, and it just didn't on me. So that's going in D tier. Again, like I said, I concede probably a little bit unfair, but that's just how tiers go sometimes. So, cool. All right, so we'll do one more, and then we'll do another libation here. And I also need to take a little bit of a break here. How we doing on time? Just about an hour. Cool. So, Brosa, what are you doing in Divinity? What kind of games are you? What race did you choose? When I played the Undead Lizard with jewel eyes. That's what I remember. And I tried building a like a hybrid model of magic and like dual wield or some shit. It's been about a year since, fuck if I remember, but it's not as fun to play solo as it is with friends. So, all right. Okay, let's get to it. All right, next up on our list is 12 minutes. Count them, 12 minutes, not 11, not 13, but 12 minutes. I played this on the Xbox One as a digital download. This was a pretty good game. This was ironically, one of the more successful streams I've had as well, despite the fact that this is basically an indie game. This is kind of similar to Biomutant in that I think it was announced probably about 2, perhaps 3 years before it was actually released. And the thing with that was, it just sort of disappeared off the map. Developers kind of were mums was the word for a couple years. And then it was just one of those things where it was like, oh, this will be released in the next couple months. This was a nice little game. It was basically a point and click adventure if you think about it, but did challenge your brain a little bit. The biggest problem I had with this game was the fact that I get the whole nature of the game was to be repetitive, but simultaneously to get the different endings, to get the different, see the different scenes. There were some cut scenes or dialogue that were unskippable, which just really padded that overall time invested. But I did think that the game was actually pretty good overall. Again, for a indie / AA title. I think I got total out of this, I think it was like about 18, 20 hours. Let me check here. I like checking this stuff. It's kind of like a trip down memory lane. Let's see here. Let's check my games. I'm looking at this off screen. This is just nothing really super important, but something I just like to check. Yeah, I got just 18 hours and 4 minutes. That was basically for a full completionist playthrough with probably a little bit of extra mess ups as well. But I would think most people probably get a solid 8 to 10 hours out of that game, maybe just a little bit less. Whoops. So, okay. Okay. So for me, 12 minutes, overall good game. Some of the padding was a little bit of a problem. So this is probably also going into B tier. This is going to be the divider between Bravely Default 2 and Scarlet Nexus because, ooh, you know what? Hold on, let me think about that. 12 minutes just tries to do something a little bit different, whereas Bravely Default 12 minutes tries to do something a little bit different or unique, but fails in some respects, where Bravely Default 2 basically does the same thing and succeeds. So it's kind of that balance between, is it trying to get by, is 12 minutes trying to get by, is Bravely Default 2 trying to get by where talent and ingenuity cannot for 12 minutes? Maybe. You know what? Bravely Default. Nah, you know what? That's fine. That's where I like it where it is. I think that's fair. That's fair. So, okay. Cool. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll do our libation just so we can get a full unbroken line here. No More Heroes 3. Nintendo Switch. Another game we streamed. What can I say about this that has not already been said in my stream, in my review? A letdown is the way I would call No More Heroes 3. I fucking love No More Heroes 1 and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. Even Travis Strikes Again, while trying to be a little bit too avant-garde, No More Heroes 3 tried a little too hard in some respects and just fucked up in too many ways. And in addition to that, it doesn't really... a lot of the new stuff that it tries just doesn't really work. I really felt like, and I said this in my review at the time, Suda51 may have tried a little bit too hard, and I think that hurt the game overall. Repetitive. Some good parts. I do appreciate the fact that Suda51 did make a game to kind of conclude the Travis touchdown storyline, but I could give a flying fuck about Fu, or whatever the hell his name was, and the rest of the villains, where at least in 1 and 2, you could say like, oh yeah, even though they had barely any screen time, you know, I kind of felt sad when Holly Summers died. Or I'm trying to think of some of the other characters. Destroy Man is really cool, right? And what the hell's the deal with Matt Helms? So with this, where I feel like Suda51 tried too hard to subvert expectations, he ended up what's the word I'm looking for? Aligning with those expectations. Remember, it's like 2 or 3 of the ranked matches are killed before Travis fights them. That was funny when it was Let's Shake, but it's not funny 3 times in the singular game, and one time it's like back to back or something like that. So I had high hopes for the game. It just did not deliver. It was okay overall. I did like Gene having... I'm really not usually a fan of this. I did like Gene having a narrated role, but the fact that it was a male voice, I think, was again kind of like the like try hard type humor, which I didn't really like. So not a bad game overall. Some really stupid designs. Weird map. The map was really weird. This is going in C for sure, and I am actually going to put this. Whoops, if it lets me, yeah. I'm gonna put this a little bit of a Galgun Returns, but at least Galgun Returns, I finished in like 8 hours, whereas No More Heroes, I think, was close to 20-ish, and it felt a little padded. So, but it was still No More Heroes, which I fucking love. So that's where it goes into C category for me. So, okay. How many we got left? 2, 4, 6, 8. We got the final 8 here, the Elite 8. I did tell you that like the last several would be a little bit longer than the initial ones. Also because my memory is only good for about a year at this point on the specifics. I'll remember a lot of things forever, but in terms of specifics, you only got about a year out of me. So, okay. How are we doing, everybody? How's lovely chat going tonight? All right. Elite 8, here we go. Hey, Dinosaur Hunter. Good to see you, my man. Happy New Year's Eve to you, buddy. I didn't know you were here in the stream. How you doing, bud? Thank you for joining. I know it's a little bit different than usual, and I'm drinking as well, but I appreciate you being here, bud. Good to see you. Where are we? All right. Man-Eater, the Truth Quest DLC, another game or DLC I streamed. There's really not much I'm going to say about it. It was fine. This was another sort of weird situation similar to Greedfall, where it was a game that had been released, I think, a year or about a year prior, that out of nowhere, here's this DLC. So it was sort of nice in that respect to revisit the game, because I did like the base game for Man-Eater. But if you go back and watch the replays, which are on YouTube, HM Rising is the username / channel name. There were some extreme annoyances in the DLC for me, but it was sort of nice to revisit in that respect. Chris Parnell, who does the narration as the narrator, what a surprise, I think does a pretty good job both in the base game and the vanilla, or excuse me, both in the base / vanilla game as well as the DLC. There's really not much else to add. It's just kind of just adding a small DLC quest in addition to revisiting some old areas. So again, it's kind of nice. Don't know really why it needs to be made, but whatever. So of course this is going in their DLC category. I think it was better than the D-Vesp conspiracy. But I'm going to put Kazuya before just because that's just how it goes. So there we go. Okay. All right. The final 7. And I think all of these I've actually streamed. Yep, these are all streams that, again, you can watch on YouTube. And up to the final 2, I think, are still available on Twitch as of this posting. So, okay. Death's Door on the Xbox One. This was a very, very, very good game. In fact, I think it's very underrated. I think it was elected to a couple different awards at the Game Awards earlier this month in December, and I don't think it won anything, unfortunately. But this is the type of game that I think really shows and showcases a really well-made game by, say, again, like a AA or mid-studio, whatever, can really do. Great gameplay, good difficulty. Like it's difficult but not punishing. I love the artwork and the art direction towards it. Very good soundtrack. Good, not amazing, but good replay value. Good customizableness for your little crow boy. This is a very good game. I said at the time during my review for that game, and for this one I'll say it as well. This is one of my top. It's in my top 30, possibly top 20. Not top 10, but probably top 20. No, I know it's in my top 30, possibly top 20. Very good game. I highly recommend it to anybody who likes that sort of game, sort of the action, light RPG style, Metroidvania. I know I got shit for it at the time, and I'm still gonna say it until at least 2022. It's a Metroidvania type style. I know it's not a side scroller, I get it, but deal with it. That's how it is. S tier for sure. When you get into the top 30, basically you're S tier. So I'll say that much. So Death's Door, highly recommend it. Okay, that was quick, but that's how it is sometimes. Amazing. Hey, oh, it's C Blue 10. Nice. Hi, Rising. Hi, C Blue 10. Merry New Year's Eve to you. What does that stand for? You know, that's a very good question. I think, it comes from like sort of the Japanese, when they used to tier things many moons ago. I think, yeah, S tier may mean superb or super, and may originate from academic gaming in Japan. It's just a video game thing. Like S ranking is usually like the highest. Like even Crazy Fucking Taxi had it, right? Like an S class license and all that shit. So S just means like top. Yeah, exactly. HM Rising, Happy New Year, says Brew Crew 03. Happy New Year to you there, Brew Crew 03. Hope you're doing well tonight. Superb, yes. I don't think they're really mean anything, because if you're going to get into the whole thing of what does A mean, A is awesome, B is, I don't know what B is, C is, I don't know what C is either, D is detrimental, I don't know. Has anyone ever told you have a soothing voice? Yes. At least 2 people. But I think they were lying. Okay, and we're not talking about me, we're talking about games. This is the year of the games. Okay, what's up? Metroid Dread. Whoop. Metroid Dread, Nintendo Switch. I'm a fanboy for Metroid. I'm biased. Metroid Prime on the GameCube is my all-time favorite game. Number 1. Numero uno. Very hard pressed to find a game better than that, in my opinion. So I like Metroid. Say that much. Dread was good. Great? No. Good. It was nice to have a new Metroid game, not a remake. Technically, Return of Samus, or Samus Returns, in, is that 2017? You guys make me have to look this stuff up. You guys should know this stuff. You guys are gamers, right? I think Samus Returns was 2017. Yep, September 15, 2017. Oh, shit. I should have actually included that on my ranking here. Because I actually played it, or finished it this year. I'll just immediately just say that's probably B tier somewhere. But, oh my god, I knew I forgot it because the 3DS is, I just don't use the 3DS anymore except for that one time. Metroid Dread. We streamed this one too. It was a good game. I don't really know how much I appreciated the Dread sequences of Samus versus the Emmy units. They were frustrating, not controller destroying frustrating, but they were annoying in the sense that it just didn't feel like Metroid to me. And, as much as I wax poetic about games that do innovative things, which I will do for Doki Doki Literature Club in a couple, or in just 2, it didn't work for me. That said, it still had some very classic Metroid tropes to it. Oh, the power beam. Oh, the wave beam. The screw attack. The power bomb. The bomb. The grapple beam, right? Which was nice to have and revisit. So I'm a little bit forgiving in that respect. I did appreciate the difficulty. It was nice to actually have a game that that wasn't just button mashingly easy. Like you actually had a little bit of strategy behind some of the encounters, particularly the boss fights. But you might, I don't remember if I said this during my review. Dude, just get rid of Dread, cross this out, and put Fusion 2. That's what this game is. This is Metroid Fusion 2. That's what this game is. And I liked Fusion. A tier bottom. That's how it goes. All right. Sora, our resident Final Fantasy knockoff from Kingdom Hearts and Smash Bros. Ultimate. He's going in DLC. We already know that for a fact. Kingdom Hearts is an interesting franchise. I played the original back when it came out, 2001 or 2002. I should know this because I was laughed at in grade school for it. I think it might have been 2000. I think it might have been 2001 here. No, it was 2002. That's right. 2002, I played the original game on the PlayStation 2, and I liked it a lot. Nothing says proto-edge than Final Fantasy X Disney. I replayed both Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, or the remasters, back in late 2018, I think it was, to refresh my memory about the series before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, which was early 2019. Some of that's nostalgia. The first game is not great. It's good, not great. The second game is good, but not great. But let's be honest here. Sora and fucking Smash Bros. Shit, guys, I am old enough, unfortunately, to remember the days of early Photoshops, circa 2003, 2004, that would circulate on game FAQs, game facts, whatever you want to call them, etc. When it was like, hey, check out this picture, this total leak of Master Chief and Sora in Smash. No way, dude, that can't be a truth. To unlock Sonic and Tails in Smash Bros. Melee, you have to defeat 20 cruel melee wireframes or whatever it was. So, I'm not going to lie, it was a fucking feat by Masahiro Sakurai to get Sora in that game. So, in Smash Bros. That's a fucking achievement right there. I played as Sora. We actually had a stream about him for a little bit. He's kind of fun to play. He's goofy to play, but what do you expect from a guy with, the plucky-haired protagonist who hangs out with Donald Duck and Goofy? What's Goofy's first name or last name? I don't know. He's a floaty character. His game is basically entirely aerial. He's kind of fun to play as. He's not my main, but he's fun to play as. But you know what? I fucking love Sakurai. So you know what? Good job on getting through the licensing bullshit that he had to probably he and Nintendo had to go through to get Sora into Smash. That's going to be boom. I'm going to put that above Ancient Gods Part 2. Controversial? See your supervisor. Got 4 more. Happy New Year's Eve. And again, I know the lighting is really fucked up, guys. I apologize, but it was almost an ad hoc deal tonight, so I just had to get done what I could. We already started a little bit later than we used to. Forgive me. It'll be my New Year's resolution to get better lighting for this, okay? Sorry. I love you guys anyway. Happy 2020. 2022. Don't want to spill anything on my nice my bowling t-shirt. It's actually not bowling, although it's been called bowling. It's actually COSPA for Armor Ray's work shirt or some shit. I don't know. It looked cool. Whatever. Doesn't look cool as on stream because the lighting's all fucked up, but it looks cool in real life, trust me. Kind of like me. I'm fucking weird on Twitch, but in real life, I'm okay guy. Not great, but okay. Doki Doki Doki. I don't know what that game is. Is S tier. Well, Sabrosa. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I have the copy for the Nintendo Switch, although I played it on the Xbox One. I had to buy it because... Hold on a sec here. The physical version... The Xbox One is only a digital download. It's only the Switch and I think the PlayStation version that have physical copies. I'll check that in a second. But it comes with these little... what the fuck do they call this? It's like not cardboard. It's called something fucking weird. I can't remember. Tack board? What's it called? You guys got to make me look it up. Guys are letting me down. I delivered to you guys this amazing content. I think it's chipboard, isn't it? Yep. Comes with these chipboard standees of Monika, Natsuki, Sayori, and Yuri. So of course I had to get the physical version, although I played it on the Xbox. Yeah, so the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 also have physical copies, so whatever. It also comes with some other fun shit, like a soundtrack download. I'm not going to show you because I haven't redeemed the code yet, so I don't want anybody to stream snipe that. Some stickers of our girls. What is this? A nice little personal poem. A business card for Metaverse Enterprise Solutions. And the Literature Member Club. I'm sure you show that to the police if they pull you over. They'll be like, this man is based. Don't worry about it. Even though you were speeding 15 miles over the speed limit. He's based. Don't worry about it. Who's the best girl? Sayori? Never mind. You got a ticket because Natsuki's the best. Anyway, sorry. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Now, this is another remake or remaster, whatever the hell you want to call it. I waxed poetic about this in the review for this when I streamed this. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. It's funny because I'm just going to repeat what Dan Salvato, the developer, said about the game. It's not really a game. It is a visual novel, point and click, whatever you want to call it. The gameplay is minimal. But a game that tries to do a little bit something different, like Dan says, has a special place in my heart. And Doki Doki not only did that, but also exceeded. And I'm a jaded man. I've been through a lot. Played through a lot. And Doki Doki gave me feels that I didn't know I had feels. So, good fucking on Dan Salvato. Again, I know the original was from 2017. It's the first time I played it, the remaster. I don't know what else to say that I haven't already said in my review for the stream for it, which the replay is available on YouTube. It's a great game. I do have to hurt it a little bit because it is. I have to compare it to other games because whether or not you spend 1 hour with it or 40 hours or 100 hours, the truth is at the end of the day, it's still technically considered a video game. And I have to compare it as such. I'm willing to overlook certain problems with it because it is a literature novel game. But that said, it still has a special place in my heart. You probably know, guys who've seen the streams know where this is going, but because it is probably in my top 20, if not top 30, it's going in S tier. The sort of dilemma that I'm having is whether or not it's better than Death's Door. And this is what's hard about this, is the fact that Doki Doki Literature Club Plus I like more, but Death's Door is a better video game. And this is a video game ranking. The heartbreak is coming. I know, I can see it. And while I hate to be hypocritical, but the truth is that while I like Doki Doki Literature Club Plus more in many ways, Death's Door is a better video game. It's S tier, but Death's Door is better. I'm conflicted myself about it, but that's the truth. Just how it goes. I fucking love both. You know, if polygamy was a thing, I'd marry both Death's Door and Doki Doki Literature Club Plus for 2021. But that's how it is. All right. The final three. How we all doing tonight? This is the first stream that I have not gotten up and stepped away. But that's how it goes. And that's how we're going to keep it. Despite the fact it's probably the heaviest I've drank in on stream. But we'll get past it. Although in one of the 12-minute streams I got pretty hammered too. So. All right. Now, while we've been waxing poetic about Death's Door and Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, next we have Doom Eternal's Horde mode. It's DLC, so it's going in the DLC category. Horde mode sucked. It just did. I don't give a fuck about Horde modes. Haven't cared about them since the Gears of War days. Don't care about them now. Felt very tacked on. We had a stream about it. I got bored within like an hour and 10 minutes. I did end up eventually completing it on very easy because I just wanted the fucking achievements. I don't give a flying fuck. Horde mode sucked. I don't care. It's bottom. It's not bad as Borderlands 3 because I fucking hate Borderlands 3, and at least the Doom Eternal vanilla, while not amazing, was okay. But that's damning it with faint praise. The final two, which are both related to one each other. Blue Reflection, Second Light on the Nintendo Switch. This was a pretty successful stream series, to be honest with you guys. Now, this is the sequel to Blue Reflection, which is the next game that I'll be putting on the tier list. What can I say that I haven't already said about this game? I liked it a lot. Problem is, there were also things that I absolutely hated about it. Love and hate are very interesting emotions. You would think that they sort of they would cancel each other out, and maybe it's somewhere in the middle. The thing is all things considered, I liked Blue Reflection. I thought it was a good game. I liked Ao. I liked Kokoro. Hinako, who's the main character in the first game, I liked her as well. But there were some absolute annoyances in the game that I just cannot forgive. But when I had fun, I had a lot of fun. And I'm a sucker for those moments, to be quite honest with you. And any game developers out there who are developing an HM Rising game, keep that in mind. But I really liked it a lot. And the Kokoro's Resonance Tide, with Ao, the Rice Showdown, and what was it called? Or what was it? It was a colony drop or whatever, right? Fucking love that shit. Very cool to me. So this is challenging for me. This is really challenging because while I really like the game, it has some absolute major character flaws that I really can't forgive. Particularly the fact that the game loves to basically steal control away from you as the player at seemingly arbitrary moments. That just absolutely rubs me the wrong way. And if I may be quite frank, in the year almost 2022 is unforgivable. But I did like it. It's an easy game, unfortunately. And the only way you can play the harder difficulties is by beating it for the first time, or at least once. And even if you don't do all the safe scumming like I did, you're probably looking at about 25 to 30 hours, reasonably. You know, is it worth a replay? I don't know about that. But I enjoyed my time through the first playthrough. To me, this is B tier. Ooh. You know, this is the problem with tiers, which I don't really like them. And I was conflicted about doing this, is the fact that tiers are very inconsistent, because while I would put this at the top of B tier for sure, I did kind of like it more than Metroid Dread. But I don't know if it's actually A tier if I look at it in a vacuum. So I'm going to put it there in B tier. That's where I'm putting it. I think that's fair. I have a pressing question. Is HM Rising being sponsored by Uncle Tito yet? You know, I pro se submitted the application request. I have not heard back from their customer service yet, so stand by on that. Maybe some good things will come in 2022, but for now, more to come. Let's put it on that way. So we'll be finishing up here very soon, guys and gals. Cebu10 asks, when are we getting a squad stream with HM Rising, Subrosa, and Nobot? Get your attorneys to sign the papers. Well, like I said, I'm pro se, so I'm all good basically at any given time. Famous last words. Pick the game as long as it's something I wouldn't get frustrated or annoyed with. and I'll highly consider it. Absolutely. Thing is, I just don't play a lot of the. I mean, look at my fucking tier list here. It's like people have stopped by during the stream and they're like, I haven't played a single one of these trash games, with maybe the exception of Smash Bros. Right? But it's like, okay, that's really normie anyway. But like, fucking like Blue Reflection, No More Heroes, Gal Gun. Come on. Know your audience is what I mean to say. And that's not me. So. All right. Last one. Cheers, mates. Oof. God, I have not done this in a long time, and I'm sort of regretting it. In my defense, it is New Year's Eve, though. So, okay. Last, Blue Reflection on the PlayStation 4. This, I will admit, right now, it's very important. I have not finished this game. I'm only probably about halfway through, if that. So it's not really fair to rank it at this point. Fuck it, it's my stream. I'm going to rank it anyway, just because that's what I want to do. So we will be finishing it in 2022, so more to come. Stand by. But I do want to rank it anyway. It'll compensate for the fact that I missed Samus Returns on the 3DS. But anyway, Blue Reflection up to this point I've liked. The pacing has been much better than Second Light. Although it really hasn't been super interesting either. It's kind of been middling in terms of the story in respects to the story. I have enjoyed the combat. I think the combat's better, slightly better in Second Light, but it does work in the first one. But the fact that the story, again, the pacing is much better, I think really does it a lot of service, especially for a game that sort of markets itself on the story itself. So it's a good game for sure. I might even at this point, we'll wait and see, but I would rank it probably higher than the second. So you can obviously notice at this point probably going to be, you can infer this will either go to the top of B tier or maybe bottom of A tier. I'm feeling very generous tonight. Bottom A, thank me later. And that can be changed, so don't screw me over, Blue Reflection, later. So that's what I have. There you go. Whew, jeez. It's been a long stream for this. 135, just about. Christ. Actually now, just funny is now that I look at it here, this is kind of how I would have expected the distribution to go, right? You don't have as many on the S and the D tier. Most of the games tend to conglomerate between A and C, with the most between B, right? B is like a good game, kind of almost like average or whatever. So, I mean, it really looks like a standard distribution pretty much, right? So, that just goddamn proves my point, which I've made before, multiple times. So, yeah. Anyway, I will say, kind of in review of all of this, right? 2021 as a year for games was kind of just eh. I don't really think it was a particularly strong year for video games in general, because of a couple of different reasons. One is the obvious fact that I think many games that were planned to be released in 2020 and because of the COVID pandemic were delayed, that they were either rushed or not fully fleshed out for 2021, or are still on the hook that we might get in 2022 or possibly as late as 2023. So it's not really the year 2021's fault that it just hasn't been a super strong year for games. But I have to acknowledge that as it is. I will say, and this will probably sound arrogant too as well, and this is not something particular to the year 2021. It's just something that's been happening over the past really several years. I would say as far back as probably about 2012, although most recently probably about 2017 or 18. The truth is, look, video games take a lot of manpower, resources, and money to develop properly. And as such, if you're a developer and you're dropping, say, 50 million into your video games, that means in order to turn a profit, at minimum, you have to be making about 51, and that's 50. That's barely breaking even, right? But you probably want to earn about, adjusted with inflation, probably about 60 million. And that's being very, very conservative. So there's not really an incentive to be innovative. It really makes sense to make a game that that might not really stretch the boundaries of what makes a game really, really cool or innovative, but make something that will have mass appeal, right? And I don't play that shit on my streams. Sorry, that's just how I do it. I mean, yeah, you could point, oh, well, you played Zelda, Skyward Sword HD. That's a Zelda game, right? Yeah, I know, I get it. But, like, look at the rest of the shit. I mean, come on. I just feel as if, especially now and going forward into the future, there really is not a whole incentive to make innovative games that might do something differently. I look back on the GameCube era, right? Look at something like Killer 7, Eternal Darkness. Those were games that I felt really pushed the boundaries of what you can do as games as an art form. And you want to talk about games as an art form, go look at the review, my review for Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. There just really isn't that. I mean, look at Bravely Default 2. I thought Bravely Default 2 was a good game, but it's just Bravely Default 2. It's the same game, just slightly different. So there's not a lot of need to do an innovation thing. So I guess what I mean to say is, I'm hoping 2022 will have more innovative games. A lot of games that were originally slated to be released in 2021 because of the pandemic were pushed back to either 2022 or 2023. I'm hoping 2022 will have better games. I have a list. I'll even bring it up here. I won't show it on stream, though, because it's personal. But look, I'll just scan my list here of games coming out in 2022. I'll kind of go through some of them. So the Cuphead DLC is coming out in 2022. I should enjoy that. Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga is going to probably be pretty decent, at least. As a narrative, right, game. Slime Rancher 2. That could be fun. Steel Rising looks good. Have a couple weeb games like Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. Hey, that's me. And Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Nightingale. The Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin could be interesting. Although I'm tentative about that. We possibly have Breath of the Wild coming out in 2022. What else we got here? Arc Raiders could be okay. Cult of the Lamb as like an indie game could be not bad. Have a Nice Death. Sonic Frontiers. I've given Sonic so many goddamn chances. Maybe this is what he needs. But Sonic Frontiers could be good. Who fucking knows, right? Make my own little Knuckles tune. It's not an MMO. I know it's not an MMO, but I'll just run with it. Like a blue Knuckles or some shit. I don't know, but whatever. So anyway, long story short, year in review. 2021 was not a particularly strong year for games, in my opinion. Largely forgettable, not because of the year itself, but just because of all the extenuating circumstances. I'm hoping 2022 will be better. We'll see what happens. I'm still not impressed with the PlayStation 5. I'm still not impressed with the Xbox Series X. I still don't have either of those consoles. I don't plan on getting those consoles because they seem like such marginal upgrades to their respective consoles that it seems like, quite frankly, a waste of money to get them. And in some respects, I think both Sony and Microsoft have acknowledged that by having the literal games the little game discs, and I am a physical media guy, having the literal game discs basically be playable on both systems, both systems for their previous iterations as well. So, hey, whatever. I just play the games, and that's how it goes. So, whatever. All right. Let's see here. So that's going to probably be it for tonight, I think. Got through the tier list. Like I said, I was... And my Uncle Tito was here, so you can't blame me. I just fucking love the fact that it just turned out to be a standard deviation, right? The extremes, the S and the D, fewer ones, but as you got closer to the center, a much higher thing. You can't adjust for that shit. That's just how it goes. So, anyway, guys and gals, can I say anything about 2021? Yeah, 2021 was a okay year, all things considered. I think it's a very forgettable year, to be honest with you guys. For better, for worse, right? Not a whole lot amazing happened this year, but not a lot of horrible things happened either. It's just a forgettable year. I'm curious to see how crazy or uncrazy 2022 will be. If you ask me as a betting man, I think 2022 is going to go either one of two ways. It'll either be a really batshit crazy year, or it'll be a very mundane year, even more so than 2021 was. That's my assessment. So come back in about a year. Let me know what happens if I'm still here. So I don't know. Whatever. 2021's it is. So where I'm at, it's just a little bit over an hour before it's 2022. An hour and 12 minutes roughly. I assume if you're on Atlantic time, you got about 12 minutes. So we're signing off for tonight. Guys, one other thing too. So obviously this was the first year that I started consistently streaming. We started at 0 followers. We're now at, I think, 60 something here on Twitch, at least 68. I love each of you. Thank you so much for making this a good year, at least in streaming. It's been really fun knowing and learning about you guys, hanging out in the chat, having fun. I was your first, says no about 11. Probably true. What can I say? I'm kind of a whore like that. But that's not, you can't use that word in 2021. I'm kind of a guy whatever. It's been a fun year, and we'll see where we go from here with streaming. I did say in one of my earlier streams a couple weeks ago, we'll probably, honestly, in January, I might have to taper it back a little bit on the streaming because I got some stuff outside of streaming that I need to take care of. But pending February and March, we'll probably be back to more of a full schedule. So we might have to tailor it back ultimately in January, but perhaps I will return to the full schedule in February. I'll let you guys know as we get closer to the dates. So thanks for all the great streams, Sterling. No problem. You come here, you get greatness. That's how it goes, and all this other stupid shit. Sabrosa. Rising playing Divinity with us? Probably not. I'm too stupid. I play Wii games, as you know. I mean, Doki Doki Literature Club is ranked ass. That should tell you what kind of what caliber games I play. Anyway. All right, guys. I've dragged this out long enough. Thank you for a wonderful 2021. Streaming, hanging out, chatting, getting nuts, all that sort of thing. Love you guys. Mostly platonically. Some of you romantically. We won't say who. Maybe more than one. Is more than one. All right, guys. If I don't see you otherwise, have a happy new year. We'll probably be back actually on Sunday, the 2nd of January, for some more blue reflection on the PlayStation 4. If not, we'll be back on Monday, the 3rd, at about 8 p.m. Eastern. So, happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. Goodbye 2021. Welcome 2022. We only have the best hopes for you. Love you guys. Great stream as always. Thank you so much, Brew Crew. Happy New Year's, No About 11. Everyone else in the chat, Dear Sunshine, for old time's sake. God damn it. I'm that predictable. Love you guys. Happy New Year. Oh, wait, hold on. Happy New Year 2022. Love you guys. I'm out of chaser, by the way.